Alrighty guys, today we're going to be diving into a controversial video. I kind of want to go over 5 features that I think Dev Sisters missed the mark on and they should absolutely revisit or add into the game. Diving into the very first thing I want to talk about and address, and that is going to be the super epic banner. Specifically, let's take a look at Kodeations here because it's the one currently in the game at the moment. One, the new pity system, absolutely terrible. As players, and myself included, we do not care for this pity system and we really would like to go back to the other one. If you guys don't know, essentially, every time you do summons, you will then accumulate these, super epic gotcha points. And then after you accumulate 5,000 of these gotcha points, then you will get a free copy of that specific super epic, which sounds nice. However, the older versions seem to be much more lucrative and allow players to get more copies of this super epic, or at least have a higher probability of completing the overall pity. The second thing I want to talk about, and that is the probability system. When it comes to the super epic banner, currently, as it states right now in the game, they have opened up the ability to get other previous super epics on this super epic banner. As you can see here, we have the ability to get Stardust, we have the ability to get Sherbird, Oyster, and even Clotted Cream. Now, obviously, for Kodeations, because it is their featured banner, there is a rate up percentage that will then allow you a higher probability to get Kodeations over the other super epics. And although the rate up percentage is nice over the other super epics, I think a lot of players, including myself, would just simply prefer super epics cannot be summoned on that banner besides the cookie that is featured. One, because super epics are really hard to get automatically. Two, with the brand new pity system, it makes it even more feel like that we're having a lower chance and probability of getting that super epic. But then now, when you do proc a super epic cookie, it's not even guaranteed to be that specific super epic. And I think this is something that Dev Sisters should address. It should be very easy for them to do. Literally just pull off all of the probabilities of getting other super epic cookies on whatever the featured banner is and only give the rate up percentage for that featured super epic. So then that way, when players do get lucky enough to pull a super epic on the banner, it's guaranteed that specific cookie. Now, diving into the second mechanic that I think absolutely needs to be added and addressed, and that brings us to the production dashboard. I don't know how many updates ago this was added into the game, but it is an absolute lifesaver and time saver for a lot of casual players. It literally gives you the ability to produce all. You can select from 3 different options. You've got the lowest quantity in your storage, you've got the shortest production time, and then you have the longest production time. And all of these options are really, really good, and I think this is a really good base foundation for something like the production dashboard in a game like this. However, I do think there should be one added feature that would make a massive difference and bring this feature to the next level. Currently, at the moment for the production dashboard, when you want to craft items, you have to pick between one of these 3 options. All right, so to give you guys an example here, if we just clear out this entire smithy level 8, and I click the lowest quantity in storage first, it will go ahead and place the items that I specifically have the least number of inside of my storage. You can see currently that I only have 39 of the steaks, and that is going to be the reason why it picked the steaks in order to craft, as long as I have the materials to do so. Well, one additional feature I think would be very nice would be actually to add this little checkbox right here that you see on each individual section to each individual item. Maybe right here in the top right-hand side, just add the checkbox. Now, what this would do is, let's just say that, the game determines that I have, the least amount of steaks, right, underneath the lowest quantity. So it's going to, by default, make those steaks if I went ahead and click that button, as you just saw. Well, let's say I personally don't want to make steaks in this column. So what I could do is I could leave this master check on, which means that it does not exempt, this smithy from making items when I click the bulk lowest quantity ones. Instead, I'd be able to come over to the steak option, click this little checkbox as you guys see here. I went ahead and just made this, but if you click this little checkbox here and then you click the produce all, it would avoid making the steaks. It would then instead go with whatever the second lowest quantity item that I have, which in this case looks like it would be the tongs. Now, I know it's a little hard for you maybe to understand or visually see what I'm talking about without the feature actually existing, but I know for a fact that the developers will know what I mean. Essentially, all you need to do is add a checkbox to each individual item in each individual production building. That would then give the players a ton more flexibility when it comes to picking and choosing which items they want to specifically craft, and then still give them the ability to use the global settings, whether that's going to be the lowest quantity in your storage, the lowest production time, or the longest production time. Now, diving into the third thing that I think absolutely needs to be addressed and changed, and that is going to be bringing us to the Hall of Ancient Heroes and cookies that you specifically place in here. So to give you an example here, when you place a cookie into the Hall of Ancient Heroes, you have the ability to level boost that cookie to whatever your Paragon level cookie is here in the center. Obviously, mine is 75, so my cookies get boosted from level 30 to level 75. But when it comes to level boosting your cookies from level 30 to level 75, one thing to keep in mind is that it only level boosts them on their specific level. It actually does not cater over to skill powders, and you do have to spend the skill powders in order to max level their skill. So to give you an example here, we just placed Fig Cookie inside of the Hall of Ancient Heroes. And you can see that at the beginning, they were level 37. Well, now they are obviously boosted all the way to level 75 to match our Paragon cookie. Now, if we take a look at Fig Cookie, while their level obviously has been boosted from level 37 to now level 75, as we can indicate, it actually does not increase their skill level. As you can see here, the skill level is still currently at level 1, and it is going to require a bunch of gold and skill powders that a player still has to invest in order to max level their skill. And to be honest, that's not even the issue. Spending the gold and skill powder to max level the skill for that cookie that is now level boosted, in my opinion, is not that big of a deal. Where the issue I have and other players have is that if you decide to move that cookie out of the Hall of Ancient Heroes, reverting its level back to 37 in my Fig example, the problem is you have now spent the gold and skill powders to max level their skill to 75. Well, you don't get those skill powders or gold back. It simply is just put in this like holding place where if you ever decide to level Fig up or throw them back into the Hall of Ancient Heroes, then obviously their skill will then be leveled back up because you've already invested those resources. I personally think that shouldn't be the case, and that actually makes it very frustrating for players to see the investment of the Hall of Ancient Heroes. I absolutely think a couple of ideas here would be, one, you could take the player's gold, right, and just refund the skill powders. As gold, you can farm in abundance. Skill powders are a lot more valuable, especially to free-to-play players or casual players. The second option here would be simply just to refund it all, just to put it back into the inventory, the gold and the skill powders, if a person decided to remove that cookie from the Hall of Ancient Heroes. Or finally, the third option, I think this is probably the most easiest for the developers, would be to just simply level boost the skill with the level of the cookie when they get placed in the Hall of Ancient Heroes. When they are removed, the level goes back to whatever it was, including the skill level goes back to whatever level it was. Now, diving into another thing that I absolutely think needs to be added into the game, or at least a feature that needs to be modified, that is the Tree of Wishes. In the Tree of Wishes, every single day, players should be jumping in here and completing all 3 of these chests. Inside of these chests that you can get, especially during a Burning Time event over the weekend, you will get Aurora pieces, you will get Experienced Star Jellies, crystals, and even Radiant Shards. And now these resources are really, really good, and as I've preached in all of my tips and tricks videos, that players should be grinding out the Tree of Wishes, not only because it's the single-handedly best way to farm gold in the game, but also for these 3 chests daily, because all of these 3 chests will add up over time, and you can accumulate an abundance of these resources, which are, again, really, really important. However, there is one resource that I personally think is missing inside of these chests, and that is gold. The Tree of Wishes is known for the individual wishes and farming the massive amount of gold that you need for the entire game. And with that, I think all 3 of these chests, to also add extra incentive for players to grind them, should be extra gold inside of the chest. And also, don't go skimpy on this, in my personal opinion. I think it should be a hefty amount of gold, maybe even something like 1 million per each chest, so then that way players feel it's actually worth it. Now, diving into another mechanic that I think should be added into the game that a lot of players have requested, and that is a simple refresh button inside of the train station. Specifically here, if a train comes into the dock, you do not have the items that it requires, instead of the train just sitting here doing nothing, then I honestly feel like there should be at least one free refresh button that you could then refresh at least one train per day. That would then send this train back out, and then it would send another train in, hopefully having some of the items or requesting some of the items that you do currently have, so then you can fulfill it and then send it on its way. Again, I think this is just a really nice quality of life feature that would cater to all types of players, not just free to play, but even the top tier whales. Absolutely, I think quality of life is going to make a massive difference in the success of this game going forward. I really hope that Dev Sisters do listen to this video, take in all of the player feedback. I would really invite you guys as players, as the Cookie Run Kingdom community, to drop additional features and stuff that you would like to see addressed in the game down below in the comments, as I'm sure if the Dev Sisters do watch this video, they will absolutely snoop the comments to also see what the player base is talking about. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe here on the channel for everything Cookie Run Kingdom related. Also, don't forget we do have a Discord. You can always find that link provided down below in the description. We've got over 7,000 members over there, literally tons and tons of active Cookie Run Kingdom players, always willing to help anybody and everybody. So if you're looking for a cool place to hang out or an awesome community, we would love to have you. But with that being said, though, guys, as always, I'll see you on the next one.